Well, Wes, for those that don't know you, who are you and where are you from?
I'm Wes Swain. I'm from around Raleigh, North Carolina. I grew up in Virginia. Lived down here for about 13 years, 14 years.
Okay. And where'd you get the maker bug from?
I'd have to say my grandfather. When I grew up with my grandparents in Richmond, Virginia, and my grandpa had a shop, and he was a gunsmith by trade, and so he's always tinkering in the garage or in the workshop. And anytime I would break a toy, he would just take it and disappear for like a day, like behind the workshop doors, and come out with it repaired. And it was like the most amazing thing ever. So that was like one of my first impressions of making and like repairing and stuff like that. And then he would also take me into his workshop when he was a gunsmith, and we would like have me build Legos while he was like repairing weapons and all that, firearms and stuff for the Virginia State Police.
Very cool.
He was like their head guy, I guess.
Huh.
So I have some of my earliest memories of Legos and building came from that moment. So,
Very cool. And what do you do for a day job?
I'm a stay-at-home dad.
And what's the first thing you can remember making?
That's a hard question. I remember creating like several towers when I was little. I would get every toy that I could find in my house and put them in the living room and try to stack them and arrange them in the tallest arrangement possible. And I would like measure the height. And so every year or something, I would try to do the same thing. My grandparents loved that, having every toy in one spot for a couple of days. But yeah, they would just let me go ahead and do it, and I would just try to stack them and arrange them and build them to as high as I could go.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite medium for making?
That's part of my problem is I enjoy too many, so it's hard to nail it down. I just started doing like woodworking stuff, like a artistic style woodworking with this project here. But I enjoy painting, sculpting, hobby electronics like Arduino, programming, 3D modeling. My interests are like pretty wide and varied, so it's kind of hard to say for sure. That's kind of the inspiration with Geeksmithing. I want to explore new materials, so hopefully I'll find something that I haven't used before, whether it be welding or like maybe even like some sort of fabric-based medium. I don't know. So,
do you have a least favorite medium right now?
Right now, it's probably wood.
Okay.
Just because this project's been taking me quite a long time to finish, because I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm having to stop and research every kind of like step along the way. So it's more. I'm sure if I do another woodworking project after this, it would be a lot less painful.
Okay.
But currently it's wood, but I'm sure that'll change.
Would you like to give the folks at home a preview of what you're doing now?
Sure. So I'm designing a 2x3 cube storage for my son's Mario Kart nursery, and I'm inlaying different types of wood for the doors and the cabinetry, I guess you could say. So the question mark blocks will be doors that swing open. Then you have like the Mario bricks that'll be drawers underneath. It'll be arranged in like a grid format, so it'll look like from a Mario game. So these will slide forward on a drawer, and these will swing open. So right now I'm just starting to get it in a physical, box shape, which it hasn't been in that arrangement before. So it's kind of exciting to see it develop into a thing, I guess, instead of just individual panels.
Cool. And what project are you most known for, or has the most impact?
Currently, my most popular project is definitely the Mario Kart nursery that I did for my son.
Okay. And I'll put pictures of that scrolling through right here.
Or maybe like right here.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
And then, what's your most memorable project? Which one meant the most to you?
That was the most recent one of any major significance. I would probably say that, but any of the murals that I've worked on, either for myself or other friends, have been pretty special. Like the first one I did was for my daughter. It was like a Yoshi's Island theme. It didn't have any like crafting or model making in it. It was just strictly painting, but that was the first kind of foray into that kind of medium since high school.
If you could make anything, what would it be and why?
I'd really love to do a collaboration at this point with Izzy Swan, because he does like a lot of mechanical gadgetry. So if I could arrange collaboration with him, that'd be pretty cool. Like this T-Rex
Yeah, that was awesome.
sculpture, that'd be pretty neat.
Yeah.
Have some other things going on. Maybe I can put some electronics, wizardry
that would
into
be
his
cool.
sculpture, stuff, his mechanical mind. So that'd be cool.
That would definitely be
Team
cool.
up, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two mad scientists at it together.
Exactly, yeah.
So what are you working on now, besides this guy?
That's it.
Okay.
I gotta focus. That's part of that's my one weakness is my interests are so varied, so I have to kind of hone in and focus on one project to kind of get it out of the way, or else I'll start too many.
Okay.
That's kind of my kryptonite, I guess, is starting projects.
And what's the most vital tool in your shop?
I would say at this point it's my computer, because that's where I design like a lot of the initial mock-ups in Photoshop. I'll do kind of illustrations just to kind of get an idea of the space, or I use Maya for 3D modeling, so I 3D modeled this furniture to kind of get an idea of the colors and the dimensions and stuff.
What kind of software are you using?
It's called Maya. I used it I have 3D modeling background from school, so in like the game industry and the kind of special effects industry. So that's kind of what maybe sets me apart from a lot of the other guys in kind of at least the woodworking or maker space. They tend to use SketchUp, which I try to use, but it just seems like a couple steps backwards.
Right.
Just because that's what I learned on like over 10 years ago. So that's what I'm comfortable with.
So let's talk about your history. What got you to Geeksmithing?
So after I got out of the military, I went to school for 3D modeling, and then I did some other odd jobs, like worked for Best Buy, computer repair stuff. And then I took the 3D modeling and went back to school and used that more into like video game industry kind of training. Learned some different software, different video game engines, and when I graduated from that, I got a job at Epic Games as a tester on Gears of War and several other titles. I did that for like about 3 years. Didn't really do a lot of artistic stuff, but I got my hands in the industry and kind of got a feel for that kind of space. It was really cool. So that allowed me to. I really didn't get a chance to be creative there in the digital sense of actual making models or anything, but I got to explore the environments and get used to kind of how the game industry worked. And then after I left that job, I became a stay-at-home dad, and I had so much time in front of the computer, long hours at Epic, that I needed something tangible to kind of, as like a catharsis, as like a purging of all things digital. So
Right.
I started, doing video game inspired projects, namely the nurseries that I worked on. So that kind of got my hands, doing something physical again.
Cool.
Yeah.
And if you could build your dream shop, how big would it be, and what would you put in it?
Well, I'd have a couple CNC machines, maybe some 3D printers, other electronics workstations, your typical woodworking, complement bandsaw and all that stuff. But I think anything that would bridge the gap between like digital and tangible, like 3D printer or CNC, would be more in my alley.
So it'd be not as traditional, but more bringing in technology to improve the shop.
Right, exactly.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So who's your favorite maker and why?
It's hard to not say Jimmy DiResta or Bob Claggett. Those are common answers for this question, I'm sure. I just have my range of interest is pretty diverse, so it goes from all the popular ones, Izzy Swan and all those guys are really inspiring, but also some people in like the more science realm of YouTube, like the educational side, like Veritasium's channel is very inspiring.
He's
and
really
like
great.
Smarter Every Day.
Destin,
They don't necessarily make physical things, like a shop projects, but they make videos, make content of stuff that I'm interested in, NASA and other
that inspire.
science.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Next question: who are you watching now?
Currently, I'm looking at a lot of different makers. I'm really enjoying the stuff that Sean from Geek Builders is putting out. Jason Roush does a lot of cool woodworking and electronics kind of projects as well, so that kind of bridges my interest. And then also Josh from the PI Workshop does some pretty cool stuff.
Very good. What was your last tool purchase?
My last tool purchase was a hand plane to finish this. First time I ever used a hand plane, just because I needed some stuff smoothed out. I was using Colby, or Woodworking Geeks tools. He lives about 20 minutes from here. He has a joiner and a planer I surfaced a lot of these boards with, but then I needed like one more, done, and I didn't want to go bother him, so I went out and bought a hand plane, did it by hand.
What was the biggest obstacle to your making career?
Currently, it's probably time. Not having. I'm still working on the time management of balancing, hanging out with the kids all day, getting them to where they need to be, school and parks and all that stuff, and then having a balance of that, and then, other family time, and then also having enough time for myself, in the shop or working on a project. It's a challenge trying to get all that balanced and kind of worked out.
Understandable.
Yeah.
And where do you get your inspiration?
I would say probably I get my inspiration from my kids. The way that they look at things, it's like from like an innocent kind of point of view, or like everything's new, everything's novel, so it makes you re-examine things that you're used to checking out, from a day-to-day basis. So.
And that's what I love about kids, is that they have this sense of new eyes in the world, and that everything is possible and nothing is impossible.
Exactly, yeah.
So do you have any other advice for others that are getting into YouTube or have, aspirations of doing what you're doing?
Just don't be afraid to start. A lot of guys get hung up on getting all the right equipment and all the, right tools to feel that they're ready to start making videos or start making projects, but just use what you have. You can get a lot done with the technology that's in a phone, or even, online, or at a makerspace locally. You can get a lot of stuff sourced, and a lot of good information to kind of get started if you just kind of look around.
Very good. Well, Wes, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate you having me down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the floor is yours. Where can everybody find you?
You can check out all my social media platforms from Geeksmithing.com. Very easy. Everything's on there. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, you name it. It's all there.
Cool. Thanks again, Wes.
Yeah, thank you.